Welcome to our 2020-2021 AGM. Thank you guys for coming along in what are very sort of different conditions than we would usually do. Just for the sake of that, I'm just going to mute all of you while I do this little short introduction, if that's okay. We've got 5 people who are running for exec positions. We got James as president. We got vice president and treasurer as Matt. We got head of jams as Conor, who's with James. We've got secretary, who is Dan. And we've also got me, who's running to be the alumni relations officer again for this year. And I've just let in Lizzie, who is our secretary for this year. Hi, Lizzie.
Hiya.
How are things?
Good. Sorry, I've just been negotiating a classic house clusterfuck.
Oh, no. Oh, damn it. Is it okay if I just, for the purpose of the AGM, is it okay if I record you and have your screen on and stuff like that? Cool. I'm just going to mute you for the sake of the introduction as well. Sorry. Cool. There we go. As I said, James is president. Matt is vying for vice president and treasurer. Conor is vying for head of jams. Dan is vying for secretary, and I am vying next year for alumni relations officers again. Each member will be polled from non-husted to husted positions. So non-husted is anyone but the president. Husted is the president. And we'll start with the alumni relations officer and we'll work our way up. So I will start, then Dan, if you'd like to go next, if that's okay. Conor, can I ask you to go next? Matt, you next, and then James, you finally. Each non-hosted position will have a minute to talk about why they'd like to be, well, if they're a good fit going forward, and where they would help to improve the society next year. Hosted members, so James, essentially you would have 2 minutes to talk. You don't need to use those 2 minutes or those 1 minute there. It's just like a gauge for how long you should talk for. After that, we will have a sort of a small Q&A if anyone has any questions about what they plan for next year, or any sort of elaborations on what they've talked about. And if they don't, we'll have a simple yay or nay vote. And if there are any nays, we'll talk about those. But if the yays outweigh the nays, obviously, then they'll get the position. Is that cool with everyone? Cool. So, for the sake of prosperity, I will start, as I am vying for the alumni relations officer's role, and I will start my minute now. So obviously this year has been really, really different. The pandemic has definitely put an impact on a lot of our networking stuff, but it hasn't necessarily stopped us doing online things linking between students and alumni, because obviously alumni are outside of the university and students are inside the university. My plan for next year is to build on the success of our link up scheme that we had this year, directly involve it into our Facebook DOMAN group that we have, and expand the DOMAN group out to involve more people so that we can catch more new students wanting to be a part of the network with more alumni who match their similar musical styles. It's been an absolute joy to be part of DOMAN this year, and it's been great to see all the new faces come through, especially in the exec, and it has made my year to sort of be in this position where I've been able to sort of organize it and help it. So for me to be on ex-alumni relations officer next year will be really, really swell. And then that's literally the minute done. Wow, I did not plan that at all. Anyone have any questions? Nope, from nobody. Cool. Any objections? Nope. Then I guess I'm your alumni relations officer next year. Cool. Brilliant. Yeah. That was fairly simple. Oh, don't clap. Don't clap. Right. Next, we will go on to secretary, and that is Dan. I will just ask you to unmute yourself briefly. You good?
There you go.
Right. Yeah. So you have, as you're a non-hosted position, you have a minute to talk about why you think you would be a good fit for this role, starting from now.
Right. So I'm Dan. I'm running for secretary, obviously. I think I'd be a good fit for this role because currently I'm vice president of the Open Mic Society at Durham, and I'm kind of my role there is, setting up events and kind of relations with different places and venues within Durham. So like last night we had an open mic at the food pit in town, and that went extremely well. So it went that well that they've asked us to come back next week. So it's setting up all that and just having those kind of links with different venues and being able to set up all the kind of events and things. I feel like I'm fairly good at organising all that kind of stuff and bringing it all together and making a successful event out of it. I think that's basically it, really.
Yep, no problem.
So,
I will end that there then. Thank you very much, Dan. Do any of you guys have any questions? Lizzie, do you have any questions considering you were secretary last year?
No, yeah. Are you excited to write the newsletter that goes out every month?
Oh, is that what goes on with it? Is that a secretary
Yeah,
job?
so that's part of the role, is that you write a monthly newsletter,
I can give it
which
a go.
is very easy to do. It's very fine. And then kind of cover email bases. George has very kindly kind of helped out when I was doing exams for the emails, but the newsletter's always just been something going on. But it's very straightforward. It's all in the handover document. But yeah, if that's something that you're willing to take on.
Well, sounds simple enough. Yeah. Doable.
I've got a question before we go to voting if no one else has. So in the newsletter this year, we've added a monthly zine that has been written by Grace Marshall. So basically, she has sort of designed and developed like a small magazine to go along with it, filled with little reviews of musical pieces and sort of little analogies and highlights of stuff that has been going on in the last month, not only in DOMAN, but around Durham. So that's something that we've added this year from last year. Can you yourself think of anything that you can send out or make that can sort of expand our reach a bit further, not necessarily into Durham students, but maybe into the local community? What sort of outreach are you going to do there?
Well, I mean, we're links with, next year I'm going to be president of the Open Mic Society, so there'll obviously be kind of, links between those two societies there. So any venue that I kind of collaborate with through my own society, I've got, I can say that, DOMAN have, people and we're looking for events and kind of things like that. So, kind of spreading word between local venues and businesses just through, word of mouth and open mic events, really, is kind of, that's what I'm thinking, just off the top of my head.
No, nice. Thank you very much. No, any other questions from anyone? Nope. We will go to a vote then. Anyone object? Nope. The ayes seem to have it. Thank you very much, Dan, secretary for next year.
Easy.
Yeah. If we do want to clap. Thank you very much. So moving on, we will start this section with Conor, and he's vying to be head of jams. Conor, you have a minute to talk about why you'd like to be the head of jams, starting from now.
Hi, I'm Conor, and I think DOMAN is just a great place to connect musicians together. I've met a lot of people through jam sessions, and creating bands and things like that is just such a good opportunity, especially coming out of COVID. I think really bringing links together and giving opportunities to people that are starting next year and already at Durham. I just think it's a really good opportunity, and I'd love to try and promote it through DOMAN, through the Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and
Brilliant. Cool. Thank you so much. Do any of you have any questions for Conor? Cool. I have got one question for you. So this year, obviously, jam sessions have had to be immensely scaled back because of COVID. And with a third wave on the horizon, there is a fear that obviously that residual effect might go into next year. If you were the head of jam sessions next year, how would you effectively go about planning a good jam session, COVID's secure? What would sort of be your prime focus during that session, and how would you feel that you would do to make will make safe for everyone that's there?
Yeah, so obviously within the rules that we're allowed to do in the university guidance, if we can try and do things outside or just socially distance a little bit, I think that's one of the good things about jamming, is that you don't have to be too close together if you don't need to be. And just test beforehand, all that kind of stuff, just being sensible really. Hopefully though, we can get some stuff going where we can actually mix and meet people. But
yeah, no, that's completely fine. Anyone else got any more questions? Nope. Right, we'll go to a vote then. Any nays? Nope. Nope. Well, the ayes seem to have it. Thank you very much, Conor. Head of jams next year. And if we want to. Cool. Right. Next is Vice President and Treasurer for next year, and that is Matt. So I'll ask you to unmute yourself.
Yep.
Cool. Brilliant. You have got a minute to talk about why you would like to be Vice President and Treasurer next year, starting from now.
So I applied to be treasurer for DOMAN because it's a society I've benefited from a lot already. I've met some of my best friends at uni through the society just in the first week at the like in Freshers Week at the opening event. I've already been treasurer for DH1 Records for the last year, so I've already had some experience in that arena anyway. So I feel like I could just carry that over into DOMAN. But the vice president role would also allow us to get more involved with that, which I would really quite enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've got no idea how long a minute is when you start talking.
You got 25 seconds.
25 seconds as well. I don't know, I'm going to fill that out. I'd also say my organisation is a lot better than it has been today, so I would normally be here on time for the vice president.
Cool, brilliant.
Well,
I'll end that there. Don't worry. Thank you very much, Matt. Does anyone have any questions for Matt immediately? No.
I got one.
Okay, go for it, James.
Of course you do.
How do you think your computer science degree will help you out in being our treasurer, Matty?
Absolutely zero, not the computer science part, but I've done lots of maths, if that helps, James.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
No.
Cool. Thanks, James. So I have got sort of two-part question here. First part of it is a treasurer part. Obviously, at the start of the year, as a Music Durham Society, we're allowed to sort of pool from funds from Music Durham. In the last few times that we've applied, we have been unsuccessful in applying for that, which meant that the entire year has had to be self-funded. So yeah, that may be like a blow to everyone here, but yeah, it's been a bit of a meme around sort of our exec culture. So when you were applying for some of that Music Durham funds, what is the most important thing that you feel that you should emphasize, not only about the necessity for funds, but about the group in general that will get us funds in?
So I think the most important part of DOMAN is, obviously it's in the name, but the network it provides. So if you wanted to sort of have like good bands and good musicians come out of Durham, that's obviously really important getting people to meet, which obviously at the minute is a nightmare to try and do. So I feel that trying to push that angle is saying we want to try and connect people at the minute might actually, like given what's been going on recently, might be of benefit to trying to secure some funds.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And sort of second part of the question, how involved will you be as vice president in working closely with the president? Do you feel like you are sort of not necessarily as backup, but you can be effective, sort of an effective delegative sort of position to help James with the role?
I mean, so me and James, I mean, provided obviously nobody objects to him becoming president, we're living together next year. So I feel we'll be obviously in close contact all the time. So we will be able to work well together. So of course, if there's anything he wants me to do, I'm happy to step in and get involved in that. And obviously, I'll try and contribute to ideas as well. I know James has got a good vision for the society, so I'll be happy to help with anything.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Any nays going into this? Nope. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Matt, Vice President.
Well,
yeah, you only get 3 claps, Matt. How dare you? And finally, going into it is James, who's going to vouch for our presidency role. While he does that, I'm going to have his manifesto in front of us. So I'm going to share screens briefly. Can you all see this screen just out of curiosity?
Yep.
Brilliant. So I'm going to share James's manifesto with him once this moves. There we go. Do you need me to zoom in the document at all, guys? I'll try and zoom in the best I can.
Sorry, it's a bit long.
Don't worry, that's fine. So I'll have the document in front of me, and you will have
Can I get the fancy video?
Pardon?
Can I get the fancy video? I'm joking, don't worry.
You do not get the fancy video. No, how dare you? You have 2 minutes starting from now.
Cool. So I joined DOMAN before I even got to university. I remember one of our current alumni relations officer, or one of them, put a post out on Overheard asking for people who were keen on original music to apply. And I remember stepping into my first online meeting with George way back when, and I was absolutely terrified because I had no idea what any of it meant. But since DOMAN's been a massive part of my university life, like Matthew said, I've met some of my closest friends at uni through DOMAN, and that sort of like personal connection I have with it has really made me quite passionate about growing DOMAN, both through my experience in DOMAN so far as head of showcases and vice president this year, and also looking into the future. I've also worked with DH1 over the past 2 years in recruitment. So hopefully that's given me some experience in scouting artists and getting more artists involved in DOMAN next year, as well as providing me with useful links with other societies like DH1 in the future, who we have collaborated with before. I've also had experience in the music industry outside of Durham. Oh, okay.
No, don't worry.
For next year.
Don't worry, go ahead.
So I want to try and have more regular showcases. Me and George have been in contact with Fabio's, and they suggested like a fortnightly slot there. So we could try and have like a DOMAN night, which might try and attract more musicians and more sort of spectators to our society. I also want to boost the social side, like Matty focused on. So I know the Rock Society do like trips to Weatherspoons. I think that could be quite a fun thing to do with like the DOMAN members, and everyone get to know each other a bit. Maybe have some socials. Again, providing links with DH1 and other societies. So DOMAP, our podcast, hopefully that can be done through Purple Radio like we tried to do at the start of this year. But hopefully if COVID subsides, we can go on with that. And other music Durham societies who we're in contact with, and we were organising the jam at the racecourse. Yeah, I guess that's all I've got time for.
Yep, brilliant. That is 2 minutes. Thank you very, very much, James. Right. Do any of you have any objections? Oh, well, do you have any questions? Sorry. No questions? Right. I have got just one question, do I? Yes, I do. So, where is it? What do you see? So I'll probably phrase this a bit better. So DH1 and DOMAN, obviously not necessarily competing societies, but they both work in enhancing the original work of students. DOMAN in a more practical sense, where we meet and jam and sort of develop the music itself, and DH1 in a more sort of artistic sense, where it's the finished product and they're getting it out and they're finding those good artists. What do you think will be the relationship between DOMAN and DH1 going forward into next year?
I think obviously the societies have sort of been in a sort of competitive relationship over the past 2 years. And I've always found that quite frustrating, because ultimately the goal of me and hopefully other members of our exec and their exec is just to help out original musicians in Durham and try and help them promote their music. So I don't think overlapping in some ways is necessarily a bad thing. Again, like George said, I think focusing on networking and bringing people together is more our side of the spectrum, and producing music and, you know, releasing album covers and album work is more sort of their side, the more sort of, I don't want to say materialistic, but you know, the more showy side of music is probably more to do with DH1. But I don't think there should be a problem with, you know, DH1 artists being involved with DOMAN and vice versa. I just want to be there to help out musicians when they need help. Obviously, this year we have been involved with some DH1 musicians. We've invited Jack Patrick and Samad to perform at our showcase, and both of them were more than, you know, enthusiastic to be part of some of the DOMAN events, and we've had DH1 speakers talk at the Win the Music thing. So I think there is potential for mutual growth between the societies, and I want to try and remove this sort of negative aspect of competition that seems to have grown between us, if you know what I mean.
Brilliant. Stunning. Do any of you guys have any more questions for James? Nope. So any objections to him? It'd be a dick move if you did. No objections. Brilliant. Thank you so much, James, president for next year. Brilliant. Thank you so much. But this isn't only an AGM, but this is also an awards night. I wanted to make sort of like a little awards night sort of thing where we honor the work of not only artists, but of but the specific work that people have put into the work. We've got awards up for most resourceful artist, which is basically who's used their equipment or lack thereof to the best of their abilities. Most improved artist, someone who started off not necessarily as confident, but have built in confidence throughout as the year's gone on. Best album release, so or collection of songs, and best single. So we've got best single, best album, most improved artist, and we'll start with the most resourceful artist. Now, obviously, I think a mention has got to be given to everyone because this year has been really, really difficult for all of you. Obviously, Sam and Ed, I know you guys as first years, having to sort of manage COVID has definitely been a very, very tricky one, considering the fact you've only been able to meet like in person a few times. Ed, you're down with it, so like you absolutely do know the consequences of it. But yeah, no, but genuinely, all artists have needed a large amount of like technological know-how to push themselves forward this year. And considering the fact we had 12 different people sign up and make things for 2 different songwriting competitions is a really, really, really great thing to say. And you all guys have put in so much work and have given so much back, and we can't thank you enough for that. But at the end of the day, we have picked someone who sort of has worked really, really hard throughout the entire year, has been most resourceful, and that's Oscar. Congratulations, Oscar. So from recording, you recorded our first international version of the DOMAP. And you from doing that to borrowing a guitar from Ed to do Jam on the Race Course 4, you've not necessarily let anything hold you back this year. And if I may quote from one of the judges from your Epiphany songwriting track Cornered, you regularly produce ear candy. That's definitely a compliment. We've also made you nice little certificate as well to go along with it. In fact, all winners today are getting nice little certificates to go along with their a nice little award. We'll either send it to you via PDF, or if you wanted to, we'll put it in card and laminate it and frame it and send it off to you if you want. We can do that. If you just want a PDF, that's less effort for us, of course, but there we go. So we'll send that to you. We'll send that to you, Oscar. Thank you so much. Now, most improved artists. Obviously, this year has not been the year where we've been able to improve a lot, given the fact that we've all been inside and we've mostly been having to work with ourselves. But people like Talia, you've started this year you literally started this year as a master's student in another country, in multiple countries even, just sort of going back and forth and wondering what connections you were going to make. But especially in Freshers Week, you sort of got head first into DOMAN, and you've sort of networked with basically everyone around the uni, which is shocking. And also, if he was here, I'd obviously congratulate Lloyd. He started his own entire label this year, and he's obviously the front man for Friends of the Monday Table. He makes songs as Frank Lloyd left, and he's done so much this year that we've also got to give him sort of a really big pat on the back for. But the person that we chose as the winner for this would be Kat. I remember her at the start of the year being too embarrassed to basically show any of her work off to like anyone. She was basically messaging me like 10 times over to be like, I don't want to put my stuff in the I don't want to put my stuff in the Domix. It's shit. It's shit. But no, you won our Epiphany songwriting competition this year. All the judges thought you were great. You're also the Platinets music editor and also the gospel soloist as well. So you do so much on the side as well as your own original music that we couldn't not give you something for improvement. So well done, Kat. A PDF will be sent your way. No prob.
Also,
So
I'm gonna have to run.
No, don't worry, that's no prob. Oh wow, she's claiming her award and then leaving. Wow. Okay. Right. See you later, Kat. Bye. Cool. So we'll go on to best album. So best album doesn't necessarily need to be like the best recorded album. It can be like a collection of songs. Josh Powell's Foundations, they've got their soundtrack up on Spotify, and also premiering their musical this year. It's absolutely beautiful. Give it, I'll try and send a link to it to you all afterwards, but give it a listen. It's beautiful. Again, Frank and Lloyd, well, Frank as Lloyd, making an entire record company and producing an entire album called Friends of the Monday Table on it. That was released last week, and still that's great. And a shout out to Lizzie as well for creating the entire Rotate album and bringing together not only like loads of Durham students, but loads of Durham talent just as well. So you guys have done great with that. But the best mix of not only vocal numbers, but also instrumental numbers would probably give it to Talia. Talia's been great this year. So she's mixed in Sensations, she's mixed loads of European jazz and French romantic music, and obviously while it's not the sort of contemporary pop that sort of Durham is like known for, it's still like an amazing selection of 6 songs which really show off your talent. So well done, Talia. A PDF is coming your way.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Pas de problème, pas de problème. Finally, we've got the best single of the year. This single did not actually win any of our songwriting competitions, but obviously we've got to give a shout out to Escher for Burrow, and also Kat, the late Kat, she's not here anymore, for Easier. Also, one of the songs that came very close to winning our songwriting competition in Epiphany term was Naomi Cook's Catch Feelings. She has a lot of Sarah Bareilles type inspiration in her music. And she basically created that song in less than 24 hours, which is really, really good. But the winning single, or rather the best single that we've heard this year, would have to be Escher's Blue, because it is just a bop. It is an actual bop. It's absolutely great. Like I texted James about this the other day to basically be like, what do you think is the best single? And James just said, Blue, hands down, it's the shit. I was like, cool, okay. But no, I have to agree, honestly, you've got such a great bass line, you've got such a great riff, and also all 4 of you performing it at the Jam on the Race course. I wasn't there, obviously, but it all sounded really, really great, apparently. So
they also big up Escher for their performance at John's Eco Fest.
So really you're basically doing everything, guys. But no, yeah, a PDF will be sent your guys' way. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
That's no problem. So you can catch COVID, but you can still catch a winning single. If there's no other thing that anyone wants to talk about, I'll give you an opportunity now, James.
I'll say something quickly. mainly from me and the exec this year. I'm sure Lizzie will agree. We'd just like to thank you, George, for pretty much picking up the society on your shoulders and running it this year and making it what it is. So yeah, I look forward to hopefully seeing you in Durham at the end of this term. I think we should all say a massive thank you to George for doing what he's done. And if it wasn't for him, this society would be nowhere near as great as it is at the moment. So yeah, thank you, George.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really, I agree.